what's everybody else going to like? And I'm just like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
We've built some cars that are very polarizing, but I love them. I don't really care. And if I listened to everybody else, they wouldn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
But at least it's enough to evoke some kind of an emotion out of it. Like, you don't necessarily need to like it, but hopefully you appreciate the amount of effort, which is a common comment. Like, I can appreciate the amount of effort, but it's ugly.
Welcome to another podcast.
You can do the intro this time. Send it, Rob.
Welcome to another podcast by TrickFactory Customs.
You're doing pretty good up until that.
I know. I was like, oh, we're expecting the rest of the intros and things. Okay.
Take the wheel.
Welcome back to another episode on Modified with TrickFactory Customs. If this is the first time watching, my name is Elvis.
Tim.
And I'm Rob.
Awesome. And on this podcast, we talk about modified cars, hurt feelings sometimes, and that might be happening in today's episode, depending on...
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's a loaded gun.
We're going to be talking about building custom cars for yourself or building it for social media, or versus building it for social media. Because in the past few years, since YouTube has become a thing, Instagram has become a thing, we've been seeing a lot of builds that some might say have been done for just social media or just for the views. And we might or might not be guilty of some of it too.
No, I think we tried. We attempted. It
may or may not.
No. We're
going to have to dig into that.
Yeah, we'll dig into that. And so we're going to be talking about that in this video as to what building a car for yourself looks like and what building a car for social media looks like. So with that said, we're going to dive right in. What's going on? What's happening?
So we had a snow week and we decided to take advantage of that. We went out and ripped the Euroho.
Yes.
Oh, man. It was
so
sick.
fun. Yeah.
It was so cool. I mean, it's far from ready to like fully rip, but we did it anyways. Yeah.
I was kind of sketched out at some point. I was like, oh, is Tim going to run into like a car?
Come on,
or
man.
something?
Yo, man.
Because you sent that thing and I was like, oh, shoot, you're actually going for it.
Well, we don't have a lot of turning radius, so I had to use throttle to steer the vehicle.
Yeah, you handled it. The snow made it actually decent.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, because
you're just drifting around
quite a bit, like over probably 2 feet of snow.
Yeah, probably.
It was a lot
16,
of snow.
18 inches.
Yeah, until we just used the prime time before all the roads had been plowed.
Well, because everybody else stayed home like a bunch of babies.
Exactly.
So we had the entire neighborhood to ourselves.
Yeah, which is funny because I feel like some people that live in the other side of Canada, if you don't know where in the Vancouver area, some people that live in the other side of Canada, which is like the cold sides, like
would find it laughable.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, this part of the Canada is the nicest part of Canada, and it almost never snows here.
But it rains
quite a
bit.
Every time we have a change of weather, people act like they've never seen it before. So we'll have like a month and a half of sunshine.
Yep.
And then it'll rain and everybody will crash into each other. And then they'll get used to the rain and then it'll snow and then they all crash into each other. But they act like it's sneaking up on them. Like we're babies here. So they'll be like, oh shit, it's going to snow 6 weeks from now. For sure. And everybody day of is like, oh my God.
Crashing.
Bald tires, summer tires, and crashing into each other.
So dumb.
It's so dumb.
I think we need to make a separate episode. Maybe we'll talk about it next week of like front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, summer tires. But do you actually need winter tires? Because I feel like you do, but we're not going to dive into that right now because it's going to be a whole different podcast. But what's been happening at the shop this past week though?
We're in the final stages with the 2-door short wheelbase hardtop G-Wagon that we're working on. We're in the final stages of preparation on it for our client. He's taking it to a G-Wagon event in Las Vegas, a 2-day rally event that he's going to. So we're prepping that for him.
We're doing so many G-Wagons now, we contemplated renaming the shop to the G-Spot.
Oh my God.
It was, as you might imagine, it was kind of a win because we're all kind of like, we're all gutter freaks like that.
G Factory.
Nah, man, G-Spot
better. At least you know where to find us.
That's true. Maybe you can start a separate, like a half company or what do they
We'd
call it?
probably be the only G-Spot that a dude would ever know how to find.
Exactly.
So women would probably say,
Google it and get
my
directions.
fans out there.
We have 0.01% women listeners, and that just turned to 0.00. So what? We just scared them off.
They all just agreed with us. Yeah. Someone out there right now took that information, is like, I'm going to make a Google app for this, how to find the G-spot. Turn by turn directions.
That's amazing.
Sick. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's funny.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a street view for that.
But I know. Or if it might be censored.
It's in you'll find it's in the fork of a road.
Okay, this is getting worse and worse and worse. Anyway. Oh my. Okay, back to the topic of discussion.
Okay, let's get to it.
Wow, we kind of went off the rails there a little bit.
Yeah. Oh
hey, that's just a normal day here for us.
I know half of our lunch conversations we cannot discuss it with the public.
That's a whole nother channel, and the people would pay for that one.
Yeah. Premium content.
Check out our Patreon account if you want some of that.
But we were talking about building custom cars, building them for yourself versus building them for others or for social media. So, thoughts?
I got strong opinions on this one. You know that, Elvis.
I feel like I'm going to blur out half of the things Pete thinks Tim is going to say because he's going to call out someone or some people.
What do I call out? I don't think that stuff ever makes it to the street.
What makes it to the street? Oh,
any of those builds.
Okay, the guys that we're talking about, or the person,
Which
one person.
Who are we talking about?
Someone that's unknown.
So we're at an interesting time in like the industry and like society now, where you can actually have a legitimate career just creating content, and like whatever that content might be, it's kind of just content for the sake of content. Like you don't even actually have to be into whatever you're doing. You're just doing it for the views. Or,
I don't even think you have to finish it before people lose interest in it.
Yeah. And like you just have to sort of like. It seems as if I'm a great portion of those people out there. I mean, they just finish it to the point where it kind of looks like it's finished, but then it just gets kind of pushed aside.
Yeah.
And then they just start working on the next one because it's like a hype thing that you're chasing all the time, right? Like we used to play in a game where it's kind of like a little bit more hype game, and it sucks. It's absolutely shit. But you see that all the time. You know, people just kind of gets pushed to the back, and you're working on the next thing.
All icing, no cake.
You never ever really truly know. Just like, oh man, like because if you start following a build or a project, regardless of what it is. If you're like into it, you're like watching this people. Oh, this is cool, and like these guys are entertaining, and I like the subject matter. I really want to see how that works at the end. Like, dude, let's see it rip or something, or let's see it function. And more often than not, it never happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like people also lose interest so fast these days.
So fast.
It is pretty crazy. And Instagram, TikTok, all of that does not help in any way, because YouTube is primarily long form content. And so, but even minus that, like people have gotten so used to accustomed to just looking at swiping. Okay, 5 seconds here, 5 seconds there, swipe, and then you see something online or on Instagram, and then that's it. Like you've seen it, and that's it. You're like, oh, I want to see something else. I want to see something else. I want to see. And so I feel like that has kind of translated or made its way kind of to YouTube as well, because there are some builds, and we're gonna dive into us maybe even being a part of this somehow, sort of. But there's a lot of builds, and there's one channel I can think of. I'm not gonna say his name, but if Tim says it, no, oh my god.
Well, there's.
Is that who we're talking about?
Yes, that's who we're talking about.
What we like to say around here is
that whole line is just.
Oh yeah,
everybody already knows.
Yeah, I know.
Because every time you beep it, they're like, I know who it is.
It's this guy, yes. But not just this person that we're talking about. There's multiple. I feel like I've seen it so much recently of people just get bored. Like you just notice your numbers just start dropping. And so, yeah.
Well, we have the perfect example of it on our page.
Yes. So if you don't know, we're building a Lamborghini Urus Chevy Tahoe body swap. Every video we make, people always ask, is it done yet?
Yeah, but then you look at that in comparison to like when we put up serious content that where we're trying to showcase our project and our abilities, it's like it's like 5,000 views. Then we put anything to do with the Euroho that's like just a goofy, made out of spare parts, side gig, just for fun kind of thing, and it's like 10 times more views.
Yeah. Do you guys ever follow like some older builds? Like there's this build that is still going on now. It feels like Project Binky.
Yeah, I watched every single one of them. And actually, you know what? It wasn't even that long ago that I was thinking about Project Binky and Bad Obsession Motorsports.
Yes, that's the name of the channel.
I like obsessively watched every single one because I actually really liked it. They put out really cool, kind of quirky, fun British content, but they were legitimately building a car.
Yeah.
And like when the car was at a point where it was done, I saw a video that it was like months after the last one that I watched, where they took it to a car show and they kind of had a couple of issues. Maybe it wasn't running quite right or whatever the case was, but it kind of just died on the vine. And I was like, oh, what a shame.
Yeah.
But it's like those guys were building the car. I don't think they were building the car specifically to create likes.
No.
Like you could tell that they were building a car because they were enthusiasts of like car and they were trying to do something really radical, and they were just like, you know what, let's film it because we enjoy doing this kind of stuff and, you know, throw it out there into the universe. And they just made like a really, really cool channel out of it.
It's been like 10 years?
Yeah.
You know about that project?
Yeah.
So they're building a Mini, right?
I think their focus was on the actual
engineering,
the engineering and what it took to actually create it. Not so much as the persona of the car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that was fascinating. Like I still go back and watch old episodes if I need to maybe get some information of, I want to do something fab related. I'm like, how do you blah, blah, blah. And they probably have a video on it because they tore that car apart and showed every little detail of how everything was done.
Yeah, so that was a really good one. They had like, those guys, they had a really interesting ways of problem solving. Yes. and it kind of is like, for me, because I'm a builder, that's what I kind of watched it for. It was like just the unique way that they solved the problems that they had. And they had a lot of problems that they had to solve on that build. I think they crammed a Celica GTS4, like the all-wheel drive, full drivetrain into that little tiny Mini. And so it was obviously a packaging challenge to, you know, rival the hardest challenges you could possibly do.
Yeah.
They did it. But yeah, what a great channel.
But yeah, that's kind of one channel that I would think of that is almost a perfect example of it doesn't look like they cared about views. They just did it because they were doing it for themselves, just as something fun to do. And so with the Euroho project, which is our Urus body swap Tahoe thing, it was just like a thing. Like how did that even start up again?
Oh, because we had a leftover body.
We had a couple of drinks.
And then we had some drinks. And then we got a bad idea. And then I started Googling things to see if we could actually do it. And then it turned out that it could. And then it just went from there.
But yeah, the in-depth of that, I mean, initially I feel like it was for fun or kind of for fun, but it was also like, let's see what happens if it's going to be a thing for like social media, right?
Well, because you're part of the team and you're like you're a full-time media content
feed the media
guy. So like
you're just as guilty as the rest of us.
I know. Yes, I am, which is...
So like this project, the Euroho, is kind of like I think it kind of is born out of us trying to create something that, you know, our little team can, you know, kind of get their hands in and be a part of and sort of like get back to enjoying the whole process of building something that's a lot less serious. And it just so happened that we happen to have like a massive parts bin of things that were just sitting around, and we're like, you know what, we tried selling this stuff and nobody's really biting on it because it's some weird obscure stuff. And we have a Lamborghini body, and you know how we like LS's. Well, we just happen to have a twin turbo set why don't we just put all of this stuff together? And then Tim, did a little bit of surging, and it just became a thing. But it was more or less because we wanted to create like a strong sort of team environment where we can just kind of like relax a little bit.
Yeah. Everybody here watches all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we all watch it.
Yeah.
And it's like, we should do something stupid. Yeah. Because it looks fun.
Yeah.
And it is fun. But I think the single biggest, most frustrating part of the Eurohole project for, I don't know if they're fans, viewers, whatever we want to call them, is that we're not building it for them, I guess. Because our schedule is our schedule.
Yes.
Our budget is our budget.
Yep.
So it comes and goes as time allows, finances allowed, and we're just building it at our own pace. So we're not chasing the hype. Like I'm not really addicted to the,
Yeah.
So it's more frustrating for them than it is for us.
Yeah.
Like it's a cool project. Like it's a lot of fun, but it's just a cool project. That's it. We're not really building it for anybody other than ourselves.
True. But yeah, so I feel like with the Eurohole, it's a bit of both-ish sort of.
Yeah,
like it's kind of like in the
fun
middle.
that it's got a huge amount of attention, and that's gonna motivate you. But I think we're still pretty well grounded in reality.
Yeah,
and we're not gonna oh my god, we're gonna be YouTube famous. We gotta go all in on this thing because we know what it's like.
Yeah.
20 minutes after it's done, it's like, what are you guys gonna build next?
Yeah,
people are already asking us what are you gonna do next? And then it's I don't know.
There's a lot of examples of body swaps and all of that online, but a lot of them are not done properly. Even though initially we were like, "Oh, we're gonna do this on the cheap," but
we tried
that has snowballed.
The hack and slash thing, and it just can't do it.
You can do it for views, and again, like you can put that thing together if you just
but we didn't want to do it at the expense of our shop.
Exactly,
because we don't want people associating that to what we normally do. So it's kind of a hybrid of both. Like
so it was like pretty early on in that project. It almost seemed as if we kind of had to have like a little internal sort of like flip. Like we're like, okay, we got a lot of views on this, and pretty much like we had like a whole bunch of new viewers and people following along that probably never even thought about us before, and we really don't want those viewers, those people following, to sort of associate with what we do in our real world, our real shop, to be what that's not a representation of what we do.
Because a lot of those people,
yes, we're doing some stuff, but like it can't be some hyper jankery.
Because most people don't know, like, that are new to our channel, they haven't seen previous builds, and so they have no frame of reference as to what we do. And so if that's the first thing we show them, and it's like, do it as cheaply or as not, like just slap it together, that's the impression that I feel like is gonna be.
Well, that's kind of the standard. Is like, get it done as fast as you possibly can. And then who knows how much time passes before the thing's actually finished. Or they just move on to the next thing and it never really gets finished. Like even our buddy there, every time he tries to test something, it turns to shit, and then you never see the car again.
Yeah, I know. I haven't seen.
He never repairs it. It never evolves. It never gets to a point where it's supposed to do what the initial intention was. It just gets shelved and it's on to the next thing.
Yeah, and it's been the same for like 5 or 6 years that he's been doing this thing. Again, not like bad mouthing or bad talking or whatever, guy, but it's just the reality of what we've been seeing from YouTube, because I'm a huge fan, but at the same time, it's like once a build is done, that's it. Like, doesn't go back to it and all of that. But I still think
I enjoy watching, like, even if it fails.
Yeah, you want to see the process.
See it evolve, be repaired, and become awesome. Because how many cars have we seen? Like Sean RB26.
Oh,
he built his car initially for hype, I think, for SEMA, and then they go and try to race it, and it's like, okay, that's not the best. And then that car now is amazing.
Crazy.
And
so
then
awesome.
Old Smokey, before it crashed, it was the same thing. He built this crazy monster hype machine and then decided to try racing it, and then it had to evolve and turned into something even crazier. Like, that's the stuff I enjoy watching.
Yeah.
But these other guys, it never gets that far. It's like they try to drive it and they're like, oh, this is
bad.
And then boof, gone.
Yeah, I guess they almost, sometimes you get tired, like we talk about going that last 20-30% or that 1% takes most of the time, because it's not necessarily easy, but it's easy to just hack something together and just be like, oh, this is a picture of what it's supposed to be, that's it. But actually make it usable and something that you actually drive is a lot of work, as we've seen from so many builds at the shop.
It's a lot of work and it's expensive. So
yeah, and I guess if you're doing it for the entertainment side of it, that last like 1 or 10% of the build, that it's like you're making really, really small moves that are almost imperceivable.
Yep.
Like you're not, throwing motors in and building chassis and doing wide bodies. You're not doing big move stuff to be able to create really radical changes for content, week to week or whatever the schedule is. That last little bit takes all the time, and all of a sudden, like we were kind of touching on before, people lose their interest because you're not seeing big moves.
Yeah, the easiest part of that whole project was putting the body on it.
Yeah.
Then after that, it's like you got to do all the finicky stuff that takes
finishing
time.
And yeah. So it's been very interesting watching the project or trajectory. But I feel like even the Euroho stuff, initially it was insanely crazy, but I feel like now it's kind of settled to like we get like regular numbers that you're like, as opposed to like the first time we made the video, it was like 100,000 views in like a week or something. Or like, it was like,
I think that's from now people that are legitimately interested in the project.
Yes.
And want to see it through to the end. All the other, slurpy kids that's got 5-second attention spans are already on to the next thing.
Gone.
And even guys that talk shit, you'll see me in the comments. I was like, man, there's plenty of other shit for you to watch. Go watch that. Like, I'm not going to let you rush me.
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah, it's no
You're
point.
not paying my bills. No. You want to pay my bills? Here's my Patreon link. And we'll get rocking.
Exactly.
I would love just to build wild shit all day, every day.
Exactly. Speaking of Patreon, we started a Patreon. If you're still listening this far in, we started a Patreon. We kind of announced it last video or last podcast, but check it out. TrickFactory Customs Patreon, or patreon.com/TrickFactory, or just go to patreon.com and type in TrickFactory Customs. We're going to come up. It's a membership, monthly membership. We have a lot of things, sending merch, access to longer videos with engineering principles and things explained, or fabrication tips and tricks. We're going to be doing live shows or live Q&As and more. So check it out.
And imagine if you choose the right tier membership, you might get a map to the G-spot.
Yes, you might. You might not. We'll see what happens.
You got to unlock that tier still. I don't think it's on the website.
It's this way.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Elvis has got his work cut out.
Yeah, I know.
Elvis,
so much editing in this video. This
are you
tough.
Blushing?
You can't tell when I'm blushing. I'm black.
I can tell. No,
it's camouflage,
I
man.
see it.
Nah, man. I have the perfect camouflage. Don't sunburn. You can't tell when I blush. It's glorious, man. It's awesome. So I just want to, what got you guys into cars? Like, was there a certain car that got you guys into cars, or like building a certain car that was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know, is your 190 part of what got you into cars? Like, what got you into cars? Your Datsun? So was it like the thought of modifying it, or was it like, of like what it could be?
I came up from like BMXs.
Okay.
So like I raced BMXs, and you're constantly messing with them and changing parts and trying to make them better and faster, make yourself faster. Then it transitioned into cars. There's a little bit of a lull there because it was cars and girls at the same time. And then once I realized girls cost a lot, then I focused on cars, and then the rest is history.
Oh, okay.
Why did you buy a Datsun to begin with?
Because it was the coolest looking thing that I'd ever seen.
So you just like stumbled across it, and you're just like, yo,
and it was like
actual
hatchet job.
Oh no.
Yeah, but I remember that car.
It was
I remember that car. Actually, that car was probably, that car made me fall in love with the Datsun too.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know anything about it before.
Datsun 240Z, guards red, with the blacked out trim and the wide wheels. It was sick looking.
It really was.
No, it was awesome.
Okay.
It was awesome. Whoever sculpted this car out of Bondo
did a great job.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He was an artiste. But yeah, it started to fall apart probably I don't know. I got a few good years out of it before it started to show its trickery.
Yeah. But before, so like what got you into building cars though? Because I'm sure initially you were not, like, even before social media just started existing, like,
I was drawing cars and building Lego cars since I was a kid, and I didn't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
We can get into the whole father drama associated and all that, but literally,
maybe not.
Yeah,
but if you're a Patreon member, I guess
we'll do an episode.
You can ask me later. Ask me on Patreon, and I'll tell you.
Yeah.
No, it's all I ever wanted to do. I owned my first custom car shop. I got a business loan through like this youth entrepreneurs business thing when I was 15.
Dang, dude.
And started a shop installing neon lights and lip kits and spoilers, and that was it.
Yeah, but you were doing it because you loved it though. Like not like there was no even social media to speak of. I mean, there was like print media, but it's different from that. And you were doing it because you genuinely love to do it.
Yeah, I was like the kid I used to delivery drive. So I would take my tips every night and go buy literally every car magazine. Because there was newsstands at that time, like little just magazine stores, convenience stores, and I had all the magazines.
Yeah. Wow.
So
that's pretty cool. And what about you, Rob?
Well, I mean, I came into like the custom car scene like that we know now a lot later in life, like in my early 20s is when that kind of started. But if I go back a little bit farther, I kind of always we were in my little family, we were always kind of into motorsports stuff. I grew up in Prince George, so like road racing wasn't a thing there. There was an old oval track that did like hit to pass and, you know, that kind of stuff. It wasn't really that significant, but like in my little family, my father's best friend had like a mud bogging truck. It's like a 4-wheel drive.
Oh yes,
you know, big super lifted, big mud slinging tires, huge big block, like just an absurd vehicle. And I used to travel with them, and we would go watch mud bogging events and things like that. This friend of my dad's, like, he let me drive his truck.
Oh, the mud
he let me drive
truck?
it.
Oh,
and it was like 850 horsepower, big block. And like that, in today's world, 850 horsepower is not a lot, but at that time it was a lot. And this thing was a freaking light switch. It was so retarded.
Had the Predator carburetors on it.
It had awesome. So it was a big block, blah blah blah, and it was nitrous powered as well.
Sweet.
He's like, yeah, you can take it through the bog if you like, but he's like, but no nitrous. And I was like, a very young and impressionable teenager, like maybe 16, 17 at this time. And I'm just like overawed with like, I can't believe this guy's going to allow me to do that. I did not do it. I did not take it through the bog.
Why?
Well, I was scared, man. Like it was terrifying. I drove it through the pits, and like I said, it was a light switch. It was on and off throttle, like just flipping a switch, and it was really hard to drive. You're basically full throttle or you're not doing anything. Anyways, I didn't drive it, but that was a big part of like how I grew up. And we used to watch like motorcycle racing and like drag racing, and that was a big thing in Prince George as well. So that's kind of how the sort of the car and motorcycle bug kind of entered me. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until a little later that when Tim and I linked up out of high school, you know, as Tim was kind of touching on a little bit there, he was a little bit more entrepreneurial minded, and I was more like an art student, you know. And I just, I was interested in doing something different than what we were doing. So we talked about moving, and we just like, let's go to Lower Mainland because that's the big city, the land of opportunity. And we did that. And so TrickFactory was born. That's a whole different podcast.
History.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it. So like when Tim and I finally linked up, his love of cars and sort of his knowledge of cars is kind of what like fueled my sort of passion and sort of like my entry point into cars and motorcycles that I know now today. I'm still a huge motorsports fan. I used to watch I used to love watching it. I would go to every race that I could. And it's deep in me, man.
So you're currently building a Datsun, if we have any new listeners. So you're going to tell us a little bit about a Datsun, and Yeah, and so why are you what is it and why are you building it?
Okay, so like I'm not building it for content, that's for sure. Anybody out there that does follow us and are interested, why I haven't posted like what's happening with the Datsun.
At least like I'd say once a week, they're like, what happened with the Datsun?
I know, you always get one comment at least.
No, it's that car. That car. Its existence is because I have a deep love for Datsun as well. Ever since I saw Tim's beautiful Guards Red version of it, I always wanted to have a sick Datsun as well. So I started designing and building that car, thinking that I was just going to do a standard sort of motor swap, and then I started digging a little bit deeper, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to do so much more stuff if I want this thing to actually be any good at all. And I'm at a place in my life right now where I'm trying to learn new skills, something to sort of keep me inspired, keeping me sort of like in love with what I do. And my Datsun is a direct representation of what that actually represents. So it's teaching me, I'm having to learn new things to be able to do that. And, with that being said, it takes a lot out of me to be able to do that. But
yeah, it is.
It's cool. A long story, and I could talk on and on and on about it because I'm super passionate about it. But that'd be for another podcast if we really want to talk.
We can. We'll dive into that in another podcast because I was just curious to know what got you guys into cars, and it wasn't because of any person. Like you weren't like these people that I don't know are gonna think this is sick, and so I'm gonna build a car.
Oh yeah.
Of that. And
no, I had the opposite experience in my town.
How so?
Because I had a cool car. So a lot of people hated on me at that
time.
No. It even got vandalized a couple of times.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Okay. But...
so if we think back to like in that time, your car was so rad.
It was.
It was a super rad car.
Like people are building it now. And I had it when I was 16.
Way back. Yeah, that's so
And
awesome.
like, if you remember like if you saw anything even remotely sports car in that town at that time, it was like the world just
stood out.
Like it was like in slow motion as you watch this car go by. You're just like, mouth just fully open, just gaping, and you're just like, oh my god! Like you'd see a Countach, like a Lamborghini Countach
came to town, and it was in the newspaper,
and you're just like, what? Like for real, this thing makes it into print media because it's such a big deal, right?
That's so funny.
Even Porsches back in those days were like they were.
Pretty rare.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say probably one of the coolest cars was a Lotus Esprit Turbo.
Oh!
And it was my dentist owned it. And his office was like right in the middle of the time. No, it was black.
Oh, okay.
Black with the gold trim.
That's sick.
It was a white one I just saw a few weeks ago. I was like, whoa, is it the same car?
I still love white cars.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I love those cars. But yeah, so but that kind of moves to my point is like, I guess... Would you even say to tell people of like, oh, you should build a car for yourself?
I think the scene was the opposite.
Yeah.
Because where we were, there was so much winter that like even the guy that I consider my mentor, it was like you worked all winter almost by yourself, maybe a small group of buddies, and it was more hot rod based, and you did your thing to debut in spring. Up until that point, you didn't really have much outside input or influence. And then you brought it out in spring hoping to get, either make something crazy, like set a new trend, do something, or get some kind of accolades out of it. But you weren't being manipulated along the way.
Yeah.
Like you had your own vision. You built your vision and then took it to the people. Now you see people being manipulated by outside sources constantly every day. True. Like, you should do this. You should have done this. You're a fucking idiot. And then next thing you know, you got something that you don't even like. You bent to everybody else's will.
Especially if your sole sort of core on why you're even doing it is for likes.
Yeah.
Like if that's your metric, you're going to end up with something that you're not happy with.
Not long ago. And it was like, that was literally the mandate. It's like, what's everybody else going to like? And I'm just like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like I've built some cars that are very polarizing, but I love them. I don't really care. And if I listen to everybody else, they wouldn't exist. But at least it's enough to evoke some kind of an emotion out of it. Like you don't necessarily need to like it, but hopefully you appreciate the amount of effort, which is a common comment. Like I can appreciate the amount of effort, but fuck, it's ugly.
Which is also a comment with mine. It is with my Datsun. It is very polarizing for sure. From the paint job to everything that I did to it, and like all the little stupid things that I did, like the ski box on the roof, the wide body, all of that. And it's like it's so polarizing. But like I built that car because I just loved seeing wide body things, and I was like, oh, these things look sick. And I love Datsuns, like you guys. And so I'm like, I wonder what. But the ZX was an unloved car, so I was like, let me see if I can make it something that I would be proud of, and I could transform it into like a build that is actually cool, like to see, because I hated the way it looked from factory. 2 big bumpers. It was just terrible. So yeah, that was kind of what for my Datsun. But also like I feel like even I do a lot of YouTube, like on like my personal channels and everything, but even those, I feel like I don't even follow the norm, because I know a lot of friends that they buy cars just because they're like, okay, this has the biggest following of people, like buy German cars, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna build a BMW 335i, and they have crazy big channels. But I'm just like, I love old Jags. I'm weird like that.
Yeah, if you're chasing analytics and watching that kind of stuff to try to figure out what you should have, that's not really. It's not your passion anymore. It's like now it's a job.
It's business.
It's like you're doing it the same way you do any other job, whether you're selling hardware at the hardware store. Like, oh, we need to know what sells. You're not. You've lost it then.
Yeah,
you kind of lost your way.
Yeah.
Cars are not really a thing anymore.
Whereas we are able to keep it very separate. Like, yeah, we can build this because it's fun and it probably will appeal to a bunch of goofy people, but at the same time, our shop projects are like polar opposite of what we put on YouTube.
Is. Yes.
So
yeah. So I don't know. It was just like a thought that I was thinking of. I was like, oh yeah, like why do we as car enthusiasts build to one versus the other? And we're not saying any of them is bad. Like we're not saying either is bad, because
allowed to?
It depends, because I guess it depends on, to me at least, the level that you do these things.
I think there just needs to be understanding that this is built
strictly for business.
This is entertainment.
Yep.
And then over here, this is business.
Yes.
But people mix the two up. Like they think they're the same, and they're vastly not the same.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna go really high. Like 99% of the shit that's built on YouTube, you couldn't daily drive that.
No.
There's no way. Like it just would not work.
Yeah.
And and that's why they try it and it ends up parked behind the building and they go on to the next thing. Some people evolve and learn. Others just keep building wild shit that doesn't work, but it doesn't matter. They're praised for their successes and their failures. So that's it's content creation.
Yeah.
Those are not car people, I don't think. I don't think so. Unless they have it well hidden.
Yeah.
Because you look at like Whistling Diesel. He doesn't seem to give a shit about anything. He doesn't have a car that he loves and covets. He just destroys everything. So he's content creator. I think there's content creators that are not car people.
Yeah.
They've just
figured out
they found something that's an easy thing that they can get. Like they could probably just as easily transition to another topic. Because there's always those people that are just chasing fame. And they find a way in and away they go.
Yeah.
Like whatever happened to our guy Stancy Pants?
Oh shoot! I just forgot about that guy. I haven't seen him anywhere. Yeah, that one was clearly aimed at raising his channel. If you don't know, a few months ago, over a year ago now, this dude with Miata that was kind of cambered did a.
Miata?
Yeah,
RX-8.
RX-8. I don't know, but it was cambered. His car pretty much caught on fire.
Yeah.
Because he did some janky stuff. But he ended up saying that people were responsible for it. That it was arson, and the cops were gonna catch this person.
Yeah, I remember.
And
that's stupid. That's silly stuff.
A year later, there's still no update on his page because
completely disappeared.
Because what was funny was he said he had proof of people doing this to his car, but people called him out on it because everything that he pointed out from where the fire location, you could see where it started from, was the fuse box, and he had done a bunch of janky stuff that kind of made the fire happen that RX-8s are known for. And there's a bunch of other things, but his following grew quite a bit though. Like literally like
doubled overnight.
Yeah. So, but after that, like I feel like after people called him out on it, we haven't seen an update from him in over a year.
Yeah, he just straight
something
up
like that.
weird.
Yeah. So yeah, that was an example of like
but he
doing
claimed
it for
somebody
views.
had blown up his car or his arson or something.
So interesting.
Chasing it for the gram, and then didn't he start a GoFundMe to get another car right away?
Or someone started a GoFundMe for it. I don't know. But yes,
backfired,
it's just,
and now he's gone.
I know. But for a lot of people though, it works out. Like there's people that do it for views and it works out, and they do. But again, like I would like to see more. It sounds weird. I would like to see people fail, but I would like to see people fail like the person that we've been talking about that I've muted his name the entire time. Like I would like to see, even if they don't work, I would like to see more videos on them of sorting out all the issues. If it doesn't drive well, fix
Agreed.
it.
I want to see the project fail if it deserves to fail, and then be rectified and found, a way to sort of solve that solution and make it actually work properly.
It should be an easy thing for him because I don't think he's ever claimed to be a professional car.
No, he most definitely
hasn't.
hasn't.
In it, so
No.
for him to fail is part of the process.
Yeah.
So I don't know why he doesn't just own it.
Yeah,
and
capitalize on that even.
rectify it.
Yeah.
And show the learning process and why he needs to rectify it instead of just giving the impression that it's good
And that's it.
and then it disappears. Like, why would you do that? You have so much more opportunity for more content.
Yeah. But again, I also feel like you can have both. You can build it for yourself, but also for social media content as well. Like our boy, Jin Jim. I feel like he's a good mix of both. But he almost does it to a part of like, and he's also said it before, because he builds these cars but falls so much in love with them or the whole build, and the views just start to drop, and he still keeps making videos on them and doesn't know when to stop. And so he's realized that too, and it's like, oh shoot, but he does it full time. So for him, it has to make sense, like financially. That's what he does full time. And so he is still very passionate about all his cars, but at the same time, he has to be kind of realistic with finances and all of that stuff on his end of things. So it's very interesting, like transitioning and building different.
Yeah, you see that's a distinctly different channel, and his whole sort of core of what his channel represents. Like you can see him progress over the years.
He's evolved so much,
become better, and like actually even have old projects come back in and then completely redo them. I like to see that. I think it's really cool to watch, and I think it's very inspirational to any younger person or any person out there that wants to sort of get an understanding of what our little industry here has to offer, or what, if you want to get involved in it, those kind of channels are actually really good to watch.
Yeah,
you watch somebody that didn't know anything, now all of a sudden he's learning how to do something, on the fly, figuring it out, obviously listening, to good comments, taking suggestions, and like you see that. I respect that. I think that's really, really great. I like that.
Yeah,
it's a good channel.
Yeah. Well, that's those are my thoughts. So anything else from y'all?
Wow.
It's like, oh, I think should I say this? Should I not say this?
No, I don't know. I think there's just two very different classifications.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I see
everybody likes
about,
doing stuff and having it be appreciated by other people.
Yeah,
of course, we all do.
100%.
But I don't think you should let it choose the direction of your project.
True.
Or adjust the timeline that you're comfortable with. Because it's as soon as you start rushing stuff for the sake of other people, it's not going to go good. And you're just going to lose. As soon as you stop liking your own project, that's because if you listen to the noise, you will hate your project right away. Because everyone, no matter what you do, it's not good enough, it's not expensive enough, it's not fast enough. It'll beat you down, and you're like, I don't even want to do this thing anymore. So just don't let in the noise.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Rob?
Yeah, no, do your thing for you. You know, if you want to build a car, do it for yourself. Do it for whatever reason makes sense to you. Don't try to deceive anybody. Don't try to fool anybody. You know, if you're just doing it for the sake of content, like just, you know, whatever, make it be known.
Good content.
Make good content.
Even if you suck at it, just make it entertaining at least, and admit that you suck at it. That's it.
Yes, I agree on that part too. Yeah.
I don't know.
Everybody's got stuff they suck at.
I just like seeing people evolve. I love seeing people that make things that are creating things just get better. Yeah, I love to see that.
Me too. Yeah,
like that's the stuff that fires me up. That's the whole purpose why I watch YouTube.
Watch it.
Yeah, I want to see that.
You're trying to find someone better than you, or looking for pointers or tips or a more efficient way to do stuff, and that's the stuff that I gravitate towards. All the rest of it, where it's all just hype and smashing and all this, so it gets exhausting.
Yeah, it does.
Like there's channels that are literally like, I'll say, well, I don't know, you're probably gonna bleep it out, but like DDE, like I'm legitimately interested in that Ferrari, so I'll be like, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. So out of a 32-minute episode, I will take 6 minutes out of it, because the rest of it I don't need. Like I don't care, but I understand that they need to do it for their audience, and obviously it's fucking wildly successful, and people enjoy. But I don't watch sitcoms, and I don't watch dramas. I don't watch any of that shit. So I guess if you need that as part of your content intake, then it's perfect for them. But I just want to watch the car stuff. That's it.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah, it makes sense because they are also passionate about the cars too. Like, you can see that they like driving. Who wouldn't like driving Lambos and Ferraris and stuff? Of course. But they have to keep on making content. So because that's their own challenge. Yeah.
And sometimes it's a little cringy and made up, and it's like maybe a little more frequent than it should be these days. But I mean, they're trying to feed the machine. Yeah. And as the machine gets bigger, it needs more.
Yeah. Yeah, that machine is always looking for more. Yeah. You know, what's next? What's next? What's going to be bigger? What's better? How can I get more?
Like you're going to get to like we've talked about these other content creators, and they've been at it longer than them even, and they've found the end of the road.
Yeah, like how now you got a Senna. How far do you have to go after you achieve something like a Senna or something?
Yeah, so you get a Senna or you get a Veyron. What do you got to do? The next level? Who's getting more views than him? Now you got to take a Senna and catch it on fire. Like, then what do you do after that? What's more expensive than a Senna? Like, now you got to start burning fucking helicopters? Like, it's never going to end. Yeah. Like, where do you go?
Space shuttle next. Go to space and conquer.
Thing you know, this guy's going to have a jet fighter or something. Like,
I mean, you see it kind of in like the Whistling Diesel one, which is like just like absolutely absurd content, and I watch it on occasion.
Now he's getting helicopters, and they're doing all this stuff, but it's like eventually you're
gonna run out of
stuff to destroy. Maybe you won't. I have no idea.
Yeah, no clue.
He seems to be fairly creative when it comes.
Yeah, I know. He has some good storytelling. I'll give you that.
Yeah, he does.
It's pretty good.
I think there's a touch of mental illness.
I don't know. I enjoy watching that.
I do enjoy watching it. Honestly.
Yeah, that's good. That's good entertainment content for the sake of entertainment.
Very clear. Yeah.
Entertaining, infuriating at the same time.
Yes.
Like I can't afford this, and you're just gonna wreck it.
Yeah, I know. So I think that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching this. If you think we're crazy, or if you have any thoughts other than what we discussed about this topic, you can comment in the comment section below. Like this video if you liked it /podcast. Subscribe if you haven't. Follow us on all our channels. See you later.
If you want to talk shit and say it to me directly, just pay the fee. And
check out our Patreon, and we'll see you later. Bye.